Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the story The Monarch of the Glen, an American Gods novella by Neil Gaiman, but that appears in the Legends 2, Shadows, Gods, and Demons. It's the last story of the book. But before we jump into that one, as always, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos come on out. I try to do like every other day or so, is kind of the goal, but sometimes a longer read might get pushed back a little more, obviously. And leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. If you have any suggestions of stuff that you think I should read and review for the channel, leave it down below. I always respond back. And spread the word. Helps me out, and I appreciate it. So, going into this story, at the time that this came out, there was only one American Gods book out. I have only read one Neil Gaiman book, and that was The Wolves in the Wall, which was more of like a dark kind of kid, young adults book. This is different. It follows a man named Shadow, or at least we think he's a man. He's already been dead and came back, so I mean, is he a god? I don't know. I haven't read the book and the original book, but we follow him through. He's in Scotland, and there's sort of the Scottish traditions. He's in northern Scotland, so there's not a whole lot to do. And he's staying at this hotel, and he's talking to the barmaid, and the barmaid's just pretty much like, there's nothing here, and he can tell she's not a native Scotswoman. He puts her down as being Norwegian, and she gives him a little story about the how do they term it again? The holders, who are women that they leave their home, they stay with their man. When their man dies, they become widows, and then they have to go and love again, but they don't die. So as the story moves on, it's a very slow moving story. He meets a man named Smith, who says, look, we got this huge party coming up, this weekend. It's this big castle, and we need some security, and you could make some good money if you're a security person for it. And he's thinking, and he's but then he's like, you know what, I could always use the money. Though he never really seems to hurt for money, no matter what. There's something it always gets provided for him. So he takes Smith up on the offer, and Jenny says you don't go. But she tells him, if you need me, call. So it makes you wonder, what is she? So as he's at the castle, he's looking at, he's going through and he's getting a lay of the land. He sees these other people coming in, other security guards who have guns. They're, and that's when it sort of dawns on him that, wait, I think I've been set up here. This is the real muscle here, not me, not some tourist who they don't know. And he meets a man named Mr. April, who is the one that kind of puts all of this together. And he's the only one of the wealth that will talk to him. And we learn that this party, that this party goes back 1,000 years, and it's never missed. It's always done once a year. But he's still trying to figure out what his role is, Shadow. And April tells him, this is, we, back then, in the beginning, we won. We mortals won. They lost. Every year, we have our champion against their champion. And our champion wins. Always. And that's when Shadow realizes, okay, this is my role. I am now their fighter. Whether I like it or not, I'm here. So April ends up leaving the day of this big bonfire fight. The reason being is because he's not old money. He's just the guy that puts it all together. Nobody, he's not wanted there by the old, I guess, I don't know if I would call it aristocracy, but I mean, these old families, the old wealth kind of thing. And they have these drums that Smith and Shadow had brought down earlier in the day, and they start beating these drums. And as they're beating the drums, he hears this howl. A howl of rage and a howl of pain. And then comes this big thing that, I mean, I don't really know what it is, because at one point he does say it's a man. But it's kind of almost like a monster, too. Because, I mean, he's almost seen as like a monster as well. But he has a knife in his hand, and the monster looks at him, and he's like, you want to fight? And Shadow's like, no, I don't want to fight you. And he throws the knife to the ground, because the monster's like, let's fight fair. And Shadow's like, I don't want to fight. That's not what I want. And the monster's like, too late. And now we get sort of like the author's view, because Shadow doesn't recollect a whole lot of it. But he basically gets crashed down onto the ground, and they're fighting, and Shadow kind of gets the upper hand. He takes a blow to the face, but he ends up, getting some blows in, and a knee to the groin, and the monster goes down. And all the people around the bonfire, now they start to close in, and they have these sticks, and they start to hold them like cudgels. And that's when it dawns on him, on the Shadow, that it doesn't really matter who wins. We both die. That's just the way it goes. And he literally gets in front of the monster to shield the blows. And then he remembers what Jenny told him. If you need me, call me. So he says, Jenny, come. And at first, there's nothing. And then he thinks of her fair, more than what should be fair hair. And says, again, Jenny, come. And there's this blast of cold wind. And something appears. And Smith refers to it later as Grendel's mother, basically. But I don't know if that's really what it is. But she basically throws them all back. And Smith, the bonfire, like, blows up. Or at least that's how it appears to be. Because there's, like, wood all over the beach now. All over the ground. And Smith comes back, and he comes out of the car, and he's just like, oh, Shadow, it's not the way it was supposed to go. And the woman's like, well, you know what? You better tell you and your employer. She actually calls the employer and says, the fat bastard. You better tell him to take care of this guy. If anything happens to him while he's here, I'm coming for you. She's like, I know a lot worse things than death. And Smith's converted on the spot. He's like, okay, we've gone from killing him to, okay, let's make him as comfortable as possible now. And he gets back to the hotel, and Jenny's in his room, and we find out that she's a holder. And he basically tells her, stay with me, love me. And she's like, I can't. She's like, I wish I could, but I can't. She's like, but maybe I can go home, finally. It's been so long. She's like, I don't know if I remember any Norsk anymore. I don't know. So the way the story ends is you have Smith dropping off Shadow, and he tells Shadow, let us know. We'll give you a one-way ticket to wherever it is you need to go, but you gotta get off British soil. You gotta get out of the UK, because we don't want what's its name coming back at us. And Shadow plays with him for a little bit. He's like, I think I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, even if it means having to look the wrong way and hoping that I don't get hit by a car or whatever. But he's like, but I'll take a ticket to Chicago. And then he says in his head, or real quietly, I guess I'm going home. And that's where the story ends. My take on it is, I thought it was interesting, but the whole gods thing, because I left out the two dreams that he had, but the whole idea of that is interesting. I felt that the story was it was slow, and it didn't need to be as long as it was. Like it's done in like chapters, and there's like 9 of them, and I didn't know there needed to be as much as there was to set it all up. The writing style, I would say, is good. I mean, obviously British. Neil is a Brit, but I thought it was it was a good tale, good story. I would probably give it, though, a rating of about 4, probably the lowest out of this anthology. Is where I would rate it, but it was good overall. But I would give it a 4. So yeah, overall though, I would say this book, this anthology, would get probably about a 4.6, 4.7. I think it was really good. I would recommend it. I like Anne McCaffrey. I plan on reading Tad Williams. I plan on reading Robin Hobb, and I plan on reading Raymond Feist. So they're all in this. And if you're fans of those authors, and you haven't read the stories, you might want to. Even though they go within the universe in which they're writing for their series. So yeah, 4.6, 4.7 for the book, I would say. I thought it was good. 4.0 for the story. So with that, again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos drop. Turn on and leave a comment down below. Like I said, I love hearing from you guys. I always respond back. And help spread the word. It helps me out, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. So until next time, as always, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.